If you're sitting at home looking something similar to this, around about the, past 25%, closer to 30% body fat, this is how I would get you a six pack and look like this, like we did for Connor here, one of our Gorilla Platoon members. And what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to break down some nuanced things that we've used in order to get the results that we have. Because across multiple times, we've pulled people down from, around 30% body fat, or at the very least, we've pulled them down from losing 20 kgs of body fat and really transforming how their physiques look. But the value is more or less in the tactics of like, eat this way of feeding. Obviously, we can go over that anyway. But the tactics are more within the psychological principles I want you to frame when you're going through this process. Now, we'll go straight into the first one, talking about how I would set up your mindset first. This is important because how your mindset is set is really going to frame the whole thing for the transformation. I always speak about, in order for you to actually make a serious change in your life, you need to leave the current version of you behind so that you can grow into the new version of you. Because you will have so many limiting beliefs, and your people around you will have expected you to act in a certain way for the most part. And that's why it's hard to break that. Do you know why it's hard? Because you don't have the confidence to be the new version, nor have you even thought how they would act anyway. So what you try and do is what I call putting a plaster over the problem. You try and stick the plan, and the plan is the plaster, over the problem. The problem is your mind and the way you act and how consistent you can be at something. So what we need to do is understand that just putting a plan over your mind is not going to work, and we must address this at the root cause. We must first understand, why did you and how did you get to the point of being in and around the space of 30% body fat? Because if, like, we're being honest, that's a lot of weight, heavier than what your frame should carry. Like, realistically, your frame was built to be around 12% body fat. But if you're 30, you're carrying about best part of 18, 20 kgs more than what your frame's supposed to. So we know it's not right and it's not good for you. So the only way you got there is through like overeating and abuse. Now, you must understand, why did this happen and how did you get to this point? For the most part, it's either going to come from lack of drive and ambition, or it's going to come from your go-to for some form of trauma and stress is to eat convenient, nice foods. And don't think you're alone in this. It's obviously a common thing. That's why so many people are 30% body fat. But it's important that you address that and you fix it. You need to think, you need to address it head on and think, right, how did I get to the point of where this was my go-to? And and it'll be a painful situation, but try and go back and think about the turning point and the traumatic event, on whatever it was, the stressful event that caused you to start to do this overeating thing where you don't do exercise and you just eat more food than you should. And sit and try and work through it and try and understand, like, it doesn't have to be this way, but I must sit and deal with the trauma and the pain of whatever came through. Let this flush out of my body so that I can start to act at this new version of you. You also need a second action plan when you start to feel the same emotion that got you to the point where you always overeat. So it may be that you've done the work, you understood this happened because of X event. I know I'm going to feel the same emotions of this event in the future. What is my immediate action step to do? And this is where real self-growth and self-development actually comes in. Because if you can be the type of person that understands that when you feel a certain emotion, it's probably more than likely stress, fear, anxiety, your immediate action drill is to go outside and walk, and to almost look at yourself in the third person and think, I'm feeling these emotions right now. The only thing I need to do is go out and move my body, and I need to be away from like sitting on my phone or sitting cooped up in a house or being around food that's tempting. I need to get out and I need to move. If you can develop that as your immediate action drill, being able to look at yourself in the third person, you will be a fucking superhuman, because that is you in your most vulnerable state, and you've created an immediate action drill that works for you rather than against you. That is some very, very deep level, powerful stuff. If you clicked off this video now and applied what I've just spoke about, that will change your life in itself without us going down into the other aspects. Now, going a level deeper, one thing I want you to do is I want you to look at who you want to become. And that's what I always speak about here at the Gorilla Platoon. This is about the man you need to become. And you need to become this individual, because as soon as you have the awareness of this, you are able to understand, I'm here, I need to get to here, and there are people that are relying on me to be this version of me. Even if you are the same as me with like no children, no dependents, nothing like that underneath you, I guarantee you've still got friends, outside family, or just people that know you that rely you to become this 2.0 version of you. And you in doing so will either inspire them, show them what's possible, or most importantly, deliver the values that it took to get to being 10% body fat to them, because they aren't capable of finding it themselves. They need you to go and be that person, you to go and be the man you need to become. So what you're going to do is you're going to script out, who is this man that I need to become? And first and foremost, you are going to get a picture of yourself. So action step 1 is picture of the physique that you want. And then action step 2 is to understand what would be the characteristics of this man I need to be. And characteristics, like as in human traits of characteristics. So you would say, like if let's use David Goggins for an example. If you said, what are David Goggins' his characteristics? He is a disciplined guy, or likes to believe he is. He is a consistent individual. He is a resilient individual. He is a strong-minded individual. And you would write down the characteristics of the man you needed to be. And more than likely, these are the flaws in who you are right now. And whatever you can also do, actually, is think of, think of your current, I'm so bad at handwriting on these, but we go. Think of your current flaws. Because this is going to give you ideas of what you need to cut out, and most importantly, the polar opposite is what you need to be to act in and amongst this way. So think of your current flaws. Think of your character that you need to be. Think of some affirmations to write down on a daily basis. So these can be anywhere from 1 to 10 affirmations, no more than that, and they need to be like just quick things you can say to yourself of who you are to become this person. Like for me, it's like, I'm a leader. I'm here to help people. I'm here to get people in the best shape of your life. People need to see my stuff. You write these things down for you. And then the last thing you're going to do is write out how you would live. So you're going to write out a timetable of this new version of you. How does he live for 24 hours is what we need to see. That is going to be your immediate action step in step 1 in framing the mindset you need to adopt first. This is the very first thing we're going to focus on. Talk about how to set up the mindset. We've just done that. The next thing we want to mention is talk about the initial stages of training, how it will feel weird and out of place, but they have the right to be there. So I can understand if you go into the gym and you are a little bit out of shape because you've been eating too much cake. So you are going to be going into the gym and you're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable because you've got chicken legs, stumpy arms, and a gut. So when you go into the gym, you're going to feel out of place. Why? Because weirdly enough, when you go into gyms, most people that are in there are normally in good shape because they're the motherfuckers that just never leave because they're gym rats, like me. So when you go in there, you're going to feel a little bit out of place and a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit awkward, and it's going to be very repulsive for you to go into that gym because it feels alien. But this is the very first thing I will understand. The very first thing I want you to understand. Everyone that sees you in there will actually, in a weird way, be like, respect. This guy knows he's in the gym. I bet he don't feel good in here, and he's in here, and he's doing the work. That's actually how people will think. People will not be in there going, you shouldn't be in here, you're out of shape. If anything, you need to understand you deserve to be in the gym more than anybody else because you need it more than anybody else. So you have the right. It's almost as if like we were all in A&E, you would have the worst injury that needs to be seen to first. You know, people that are in shape, is their toenail fell off. You basically got a fucking brain tumor that needs to be fixed here and now, ASAP. So actually, you have every right to be in there. And in the practical sense, when you're in the gym training, I want you to follow a training split where you only need machines. Why? Because machines are set to move in a way that's already set up for you. You don't have to worry about stabilizing. So therefore, it's going to allow you to just do the movement. And when you do train, I want you to lift slowly both up and down whenever you're doing any movement, because it's going to allow control. If you can control something and the movement pattern's already set, you will gain very quickly the understanding of how to train and how to perform the movements. Let's talk about soreness. So you will get sore. You will get very, very sore after your first few sessions. Don't quit. That does not last forever. It lasts for about 2 weeks because it's brand new to you for training, or if you've been out the gym for a while, it will not last forever. But if you quit after 2 weeks, when you get back in again, you'll get sore again. You think, fucking hell, I always get sore every time I start the gym. No, it's just you can't push past the initial feeling of soreness and adaptation, which the body would understand. That's why you keep getting sore. So I want you to really focus on not quitting, because, ultimately you will get sore, but you'll recover from it. And over time, you will develop good gym floor performance and you will start to enjoy it. So that is the next point I wanted to mention, which is the initial stage of training, how it will feel weird and how you want to manage this. Now, the next thing I wanted to tell you about is what it's like after you've dropped your first 10 kg. Why do I make this point? Well, because you'll lose your first 10 kg and you know what? You won't look that much better. You'll feel good because you look at the scale and think, yeah, the scale's gone down, I've lost 10 kilos. But if you looked at yourself in the mirror and compared photos, you won't look that much better. Which I don't say this to demotivate you, I say this for you to manage your psychology around this. You will feel better, clothes will fit better, people will notice you've lost weight, but if you compare your photos after week 10, because you dropped a kg per week, you won't look that much better. And I've spoke about this in the past when we've spoken about results that were of the same case and where we've showcased different photos along the way. I make this point so that you can understand that it's okay. I'm not going to look that much better when I lose 10 kg, even though 10 kg is a lot. But when I start to lose 15, 17, 20, 21, then I'm going to look drastically different. But if you lose your first 10 kg, you'll get demotivated, you'll quit. But if you have this understanding and mindset of delayed gratification and understanding, I'm not going to look amazing today, but it doesn't mean I'm going to quit because I want to be able to push through and then look better tomorrow. So understand that. You'll lose 10 kg, great, your clothes feel better, scale's lighter, people will notice it, your face will probably look better, you'll definitely feel a hell of a lot better, but you might not look that much amazing compared to your first photo, but that's okay because you're just going to keep doing what is needed to be done to get down to the goal. The next thing I want to speak about is how to stay consistent dealing with social and family pressures when enduring this, because for you, it will be a long process. At the very minimum, it will take you 20 weeks to lose that much scale weight. So it's 5 months. It's a long time to say to people, I'm not eating off plan, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. I've got one of my members inside the Gorilla Platoon, he probably started in around a similar start point, and he has been relentless and rigid. Texted me this morning, he went to the fireworks, had his meal prep there with him, and he's done this relentlessly, and he's done this with him. What I'm going to tell you is, there are many ways to approach this, but one of the very first things you need to get comfortable with is people's reactions to when you say, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to eat my meal plan, I'm on a plan. People will challenge you when you say that. People will expect you to fall off when you say that. You need to be ready for that, and you need to be okay, and it is okay to upset people sometimes. And if they get upset because you're trying to get in shape and you don't want to eat, that's on them. It's not on you, and it's not for you to worry about once that conversation's finished. So first and foremost, understand that when you are dealing with family and friends, you will have pressure to come off plan. You must stay strong. They will respect you for it, but they will also challenge you for it along the way. Now, I want you to almost think 2 steps ahead and think, right, I'm going to go to this event. I'm not going to eat. I've got my meal prep with me. I'm going to say that to them. They're going to challenge me. They're going to say this. Here's my response ready at this. And then we move on. And the fact you've already thought 3 steps ahead means when it comes to it, you're like, yeah, cool, this is nothing normal. And you won't fold and you won't crumble. Now, there are going to be some odd times where it's just you have to eat off plan. When you do, what I want you to do is I want you to eat meat only with veggies. And I want you to make sure you've looked ahead at the menu of the plate you're going to get. For the most of you, just get an 8-ounce steak. It's around 500-600 calories, depends where you get it from. Tell them not to cook it in butter or oil. Get some vegetables with the same, not cooked in butter or oil. And then you're going to offset that within your day of calorie and day of feeding. If you must drink alcohol, which you don't have to because it's poison, but if you must, then what you're going to do is drink gin or vodka with a 0-calorie mixer, and that's around 97 calories, and you're going to have 1 to 2 of those, that's it. And that's how you're going to deal with social and family processes. The next thing to understand is you're going to be on this for a while, and you will get fatigued and you will get very, very hungry. When should you use a de-output and a refeed? The refeed, to tell you the truth, the answer with a refeed is literally never, other than when you're just about to get right towards the end of the goal and you're as flat as a pancake, or if you've been training for 12, 14 weeks and your numbers in the gym are just falling off a cliff, you can't really train, you're hating training, you're not enjoying it, you're not progressing, then fine. Replenish the glycogen by running a refeed. I've done many videos on the channel about how to do that. And then your training will get back, you'll feel a bit better, and you'll be able to continue on. So in a weird way, it's almost like coming up for air to then push back on again. So you can use that tool. The one I would prefer to use is a D-output. So I've always spoke about using cardio and steps to drive fat loss along with calorie deficit from food. So you will get to the point where you're doing heavy cardio daily, 40 minutes, 50 minutes daily, 60 minutes daily. And it will add a lot of fatigue eventually. Even if you're doing things, like I say, non-impact machines, heart rate 120 to 130, eventually it's going to add some fatigue. Rather than just quitting and falling off, if you took 3 days or 2 days of no cardio, freshen that up and use that extra time to sleep and rest and recover, you'll then be able to continue on pushing further. You may want to use those more often than you will refeeds because they don't add more calories, but the refeed does. So I would say use those first and foremost. The last thing I wanted to speak about is getting to the end and keeping it. So as you're going through this process, your goal, especially in the beginning, is to drop 1 kilogram per week is your goal. And that will happen for most weeks. But when it doesn't, you need to look at your plan. You've got food and you've got output. And you need to decide, am I going to take from food or am I going to increase output? And you've basically got 2 levers that you're going to pull. You just decide which one it is to get things moving. I would always say increase output 20 minutes, then goes to 30 minutes, then goes to 40 minutes, and then we might take food. Then it goes to 50 minutes, then we might take a bit more food. 60 minutes, this is daily cardio by the way. Pull food, 70 minutes maybe if it needs be, pull food, and you're just going to keep going around like that until you get to the goal. Sometimes you're going to run refeeds and de-outputs, and make sure you monitor your sleep so that we can stay fresh during this process. And then you will get to the holy grail of having a six-pack. What I want you to do is not think that the end is when you get the six-pack and the photo. The end actually comes after. And what do I mean by after? I mean when we get you back from the depths of a deficit back to your maintenance calories, where the scale does not increase nor decrease. So let's say you've got to the bottom, you finish your dieting phase, and because you had 20 plus kgs to get off, you finished at 1,630 calories. And your maintenance is somewhere around 2,300. Now, what you're going to do over a span of around 4 to 5 weeks is you're going to bring your food back up. And this is the end. This is when you finished, when you're back at maintenance. You can also bring your cardio down. So that's going to come down to somewhere around 20 minutes per day. So you're going to go from 1630, you're going to add 250 calories. So that's going to take you to 18... Oh, for goodness sake. 1880. Then from there, you're going to look to staircase again. You're going to go to 2080 because you've added 200 calories. And then here, you're just going to add another 100. So you go 2180. And here, you add another 120, and you're back at 2,300. Reverse dieting. Miserable? Absolutely needed. Why? Because at this stage of the game, with abs, you are like a newborn child. You are so sensitive and responsive to insulin. You are the most anabolic you've ever been in your miserable life of existence on this earth, because for the most part, you've been 30% body fat. Now, if you do this correctly, you will prime yourself for one of the best and the most productive gaining phases you've ever done, because you're lean and responsive to the way your body will utilize carbs in the form of insulin. You will be able to be more efficient at partitioning that to be stored as glycogen. Glycogen is used to fuel anaerobic training. Anaerobic training is fueled to grow and damage more muscle, which you will then build back after. So it is mission critical that you get this right, and that the phase ends when you get back to maintenance, not as soon as you get the six-pack. So that is, in a nutshell, with some nuanced points, how we'd get you from 28 to 32% body fat down to being able to see your abs and then keeping them over the long term. If you want me to do this for you, there'll be a link in the description. Come and join us inside the Gorilla Platoon. Thank you for watching as always, and as we turn up daily, I will see you tomorrow.